I stated you recognize I'll be glad if it's just Buddy Holly. I admire it and I'm venerated that I'm going to be there too, but my concept right away was it is sufficient with Buddy's name in there. Buddy Holly turned into more than a rock and roll star. He changed into a trailblazer who changed the tune Enterprise forever. His precise sound and daring spirit set him apart, inspiring generations of artists. But after his surprising loss of life, unexpected truth, and hidden memories approximately his life started to emerge, leaving the world in surprise. From turbulent relationships to behind-the-curtain drama, Buddy's story takes surprising turns. How should so much approximately his lifestyles remain hidden for See You Later? Join us as we find the remarkable highs, heartbreaking lows, and untold secrets and techniques of Buddy Holly's life and legacy. Secrets at the back of the track. The tragic aircraft crash on February 3rd, 1959 reduced Buddy Holly's life quick and left fans devastated, but what many failed to know changed into that his existence are up become greater, complicated than his tracks suggested. Inside the summertime of 1958, Buddy Holly met Maria Elena Santiago, a younger woman running as a receptionist in New York. Their assembly was unintentional, however, happily so, and within hours of their first date, Pal had already proposed. For Maria Elena, this wasn't just a romance, it changed into a soar of religion. Their love tale regarded like a fairy story. When they married simply months later, however, below the surface, life turned into whatever but perfect. Keep watching as we dive into the lesser recognized truths that got here to light after his demise. Rapidly after tying the knot, friend added Maria Elena 158. On Excursion, this selection broke the unwritten rule of the tune industry. Other halves were not intended to be a part of the band's travels. There has been unrest. Most of the group and Buddy attempted to calm things down. Nonetheless, Maria Elena have become a key part of his professional lifestyles, assisting with promotional efforts and presenting guide for the duration of hard instances. Norman changed into coping with the finances, and I informed her, you already know we're married. We want to learn to manage our cash, so we need to visit Norman Petty whilst Pal died. Maria Elena changed into pregnant, tragically 246. She misplaced the child quickly after hearing the surprising news of his dying. This heart-wrenching element changed into one among many that confirmed the unseen fee of fame and tragedy in Buddy's existence. One of the most controversial IAL factors of his career became his courting with Norman Petty, his manager and manufacturer at the start. Petty seemed like a mentor. He helped friend and his band The Crickets refine their sound and attain national fame, but through the years, cracks started to seem in their partnership. Petty had control over the band's price range, a decision that Buddy depended on at the start, but suspicions grew whilst the royalties were not adding up. Petty were withholding cash from the band, retaining the income under his name in place of distributing them fairly. Pal, who had grown an increasing number of pissed off, ultimately decided to confront Petty. Maria Elena stood by, using his side as they demanded solutions. Petty reportedly advised Pal he'd never see the cash except he ended his marriage. In addition, fueling the tension among them, this betrayal-driven Buddy to sever ties with each Petty and the Crickets. It'd become a formidable circularity. It also left Buddy financially strapped as he tried to rebuild his profession. The pressure of these financial woes could later have an impact on a number of the risky choices that led to his untimely loss of life. But it is no longer the end of the story. There is more to discover about the relationships that fashioned his life. Peggy Sue is one in everybody of Buddy Holly's maximum iconic songs. However, the story behind it's far some distance extra complicated than maximum human beings recognize. Peggy Sue Gerron wasn't just a name and a tune. She changed into 442, deeply related to Buddy's Global. At the time, she became dating Jerry Allison, the Crickets drummer, and later became his spouse. What lovers did not understand become that Buddy and Peggy Sue shared a completely unique bond. Even as they weren't romantically worried, there have been whispers of flirtation and emotional closeness. A few even speculated that Pal had written components of the music without delay, stimulated by his emotions for her, but these rumors created tension. Most of the band contributors in particular, as Jerry and Peggy Sue's courting had its own struggles. Buddy's dedication to prevail was simple, however, his decisions often bordered on volatile. The Winter Dance Party Tour in 1959 became grueling with harsh weather and long drives. Annoyed through the conditions, Buddy made a fateful selection. He chartered a small aircraft to cut down on travel time. The crash that observed claimed his existence in conjunction with the lives of fellow musicians, memory and tune alive. There is no words to express my honest gratitude to they all. I know, Body is calling down and saying thanks to all of you for this. Oh, this on Richie Valens. And the Big Bopper, Maria Elena, believed Buddy's impulsive nature played a function within the tragedy she carried. Guilt, questioning her presence, may have dissuaded him from taking the flight after Buddy's death. Maria Elena pushed for changes in how authorities take care of twist of fate notifications. Her heartbreaking experience studying approximately his death from the news led to reforms, making sure households are notified before sufferers' names are made public, those events reveal. The human side of Buddy Holly, a person pushed via passion but careworn with the aid of pressures, each private and professional. However, this is just the start. Keep watching as we discover even more secrets about his lifestyles and legacy. Betrayal and struggles behind the spotlight. Buddy Holly's rise to reputation changed into swift. But the pressures and demanding situations that came with it were similarly relentless. He became just 22 years old whilst he died, yet his quick life was marked by means of a series of betrayals that discovered the darker facet of the tune industry. A number of these secrets and techniques most effective got here to light after his passing, exposing an internet of deceit that might have derailed even the most powerful spirits. One of the challenges came from Buddy's report. Label Records had been instrumental in dispensing his song school, but while Powell was on tour with all of the men, such as you needed to act as like a goat failed to you for like properly honestly, while we have been on tour, there has been additionally black entertainers. However, their dedication to him wasn't as authentic because it appeared after Friend left the Crickets, Coral Records started out that specialize in promoting different artists, leaving him to fend for himself. But he wanted to experiment with new sounds and ideas, which the label failed to fully help his creative vision, failed to align with their priorities, which had been driven with the aid of commercial fulfillment rather than artistic innovation. Left with little choice, Buddy began funding his own recordings. He rented studio time in New York and poured his savings into producing song the manner he wanted it, at the same time as this independence changed into admirable. It additionally drained his budget, leaving him vulnerable in a competitive industry. What's greater, Choral Information continued to take advantage of Buddy's earlier paintings with the Crickets. Even after he went solo, the royalties from hits like That'll Be the Day kept flowing. How Buddy noticed very little of it. This loss of economic support, most effective, deepened the frustrations he confronted for the duration of the final months of his existence. Visiting turned into a double-edged sword for Buddy Holly. On one hand, it allowed him to hook up with enthusiasts and solidify his location as a rock and roll icon. On the opposite, it took a heavy toll on his bodily and mental health. That's when he became depressed, when he heard that Disney, who was then 20, took their son Finnegan on a intellectual fitness, the Winter Dance Party Tour, which could ultimately be his remaining, changed into, in particular, grueling. The excursion's agenda was chaotic, with concerts booked in towns masses of miles aside. The band traveled in freezing buses with little to no heating, which frequently broke down on desolate roads. Buddy's frustration grew with each passing day. He had become determined to keep the display going, but the harsh situations wore him down. The promoters at the back of the excursion had prioritized earnings over the nicely being of the musicians. Venues had been overbooked. Tour arrangements had been disorganized, and the artists had been left to bear the brunt of these poor choices. Buddy's dedication to honor his commitments stored him going. However, those close to him later found out how drained he had become at some point of the excursion earlier. Then, his loss of life. Buddy recorded several tracks that might later become iconic. However, the tale behind those recordings is both inspiring and heartbreaking. Many of these songs have been created in Buddy's New York condo, where he had installation, a makeshift studio, the use of nothing greater than fundamental recording gadget. He poured his heart into each track after Buddy's death. One of the most contentious problems turned into the manipulate of his unreleased track. Numerous organizations wanted to profit from his work. However, Maria Elena became determined to make certain that his legacy change into preserved with integrity. She refused to permit Buddy's song be exploited for brief monetary gain, despite the fact that it intended enduring lengthy legal battles. How lengthy? You've been making a song properly. I've been making a song truly professionally only about a year. But I started 11-14, singing sincerely when the combat wasn't just about money, it turned into about preserving Buddy's artistic vision. Maria Elena desired the sector to keep in mind Pal as more extra than only a rock and roll big name. She noticed him as a pioneer who had paved the manner for countless artists who followed her efforts, sooner or later paid off. However, the years of legal wrangling took an emotional toll on her and Buddy's circle of relatives. Buddy Holly's dying dispatched shockwaves through the tune. International, however, it additionally left a void inside the lives of those 53 who knew him. First-class buddies and collaborators shared stories, approximately. Buddy's generosity and resolution portray a photo of a person who became deeply committed to his craft. One among his closest buddies, Juan Jennings, carried a burden of guilt for years after Buddy's dying. Jennings had been a member of Buddy's journeying band and had given up his seat at the fateful flight to the Big Bopper. Although Jennings went directly to have a hit career of his own, he regularly spoke about how Buddy's loss of life haunted him. Any other lesser-acknowledged story includes guitarist Tommy Ellup, who lost his seat on the aircraft after flipping a coin with Richie Vaines. This apparently trivial moment might alternate his life all the time, as he turned into spared from the tragedy that claimed Buddy's life. Both Jennings and Ellup later meditated on how that nighttime formed their careers, and their recollections of Buddy Pal's tune may have reached millions, but his kindness and determination left an equally lasting influence on folks that labored along him. Maintain watching to find out more secrets of affection and